Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tammy Patzer.
Hi, everyone. This is Tammy Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, the happiness generator, Amy Huentelman. Amy is a visionary, entrepreneur, and inspirational speaker. She's also a mind-body coach and the creator of Invigorating, the world's first 8-minute daily energetic cleanse. Can't you imagine the conversation we're going to have? This is going to be so much fun. Through years of research and success with her clients, Amy has developed her own unique and very effective approach to mind-body healing and awakening. Her advanced technique combines guided meditation, powerful connected breathing, imaginating, and hypnotherapy, and integrates them seamlessly into a pleasant transformational experience. Amy is certified in many healing modalities, including hypnotherapy, age clearing, Reiki, Pranic Healing, emotional freedom technique, Theta Healing, and quantum energy transformation. She is an expert at teaching you how to release resistance, raise your vibration, and receive inspiration. This way, you can feel good, be happy, and have all your heart's desires. It's really simple, she says, and it's powerful. Her vision is happy people everywhere. And I'm really happy to have you on the show today, Amy. Welcome.
Oh, Tammy, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here with you too. Thank you.
I just want to share with the audience that I met you briefly at the New Media Summit that Steve Olsher had out in San Diego. And the reason why I wanted to mention that is because you were someone that I kept seeing repeatedly throughout this, I think it was a 3-day event. And I remember thinking, wow, she's a cool person. I need to meet her and talk to her. And I never had the chance. And so I'm really happy that we have this opportunity. And I love that, the happiness generator. Today, we decided that we're going to talk about elevating our lives. And I think that's so important. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to let you go ahead and explain a little bit more about what that means to elevate your life.
Yes, what we're talking here about, Tammy, is elevating our consciousness. We're living in such a beautiful time that we really understand so much more about who we are and what makes us work and how we create our reality. And we really understand that we do. And we do that from the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we see things. So how we're seeing things, how we're feeling. So I love to quote Buddha, what we think, we become. What we feel, we attract. What we imagine, we create. I've been on this path for 30 years, and in the beginning, it was great to hear all these things, and it was so exciting to, wow, we have some say in creating our reality. But the question my path was always about is well, how do we change the way we think? How can we change the way we feel when I used to feel so heavy and sad inside? How do we shift those things? So that was the beginning of my journey to where I am right now.
So you've been on this journey for, you said, about 30 years. And it's interesting because if you look back, we're coming up on 2020 at this moment in time. Yeah. So, you look back and you go, well, gee, that's like the 90s. And I go back and I go, oh my goodness, I go back farther than that. And I never really understood anything about higher consciousness or, anything about thinking about, well, why am I here? I was just struggling to make it through the day, take care of kids, keep the roof over my head until really fairly recently, probably the last 10 years. So in the world today, have you noticed that there's a shift of people who are really opening up to elevating their consciousness?
Oh, yes. That's why it's so exciting. That's what I was saying, is that we're all waking up to the truth of who we are. You know, we're not our mind and we're not our body. We're so much more than that. And we've all, as a society, been programmed to live in our mind thinking all the time, and thinking that that's where we're going to find the answers. But I have found that that is not a very fun place to live, in your head thinking all the time. Because did you know that when we're in our head thinking all the time, we're actually disconnected from who we truly are? And who we are, we're brilliant, beautiful, bright beings. You know, all the answers are inside of us. But if we're disconnected from who we truly are, then how can we feel who we are? How can we know who we are? How can we get to know ourselves? And that's what I've really come to see. That's why I struggled for so many years, is because I was disconnected from myself and I was living in my head.
That's really interesting, because I mean, I'm being very honest here. I have never really thought about the fact of how much time I spend in my head. Mm-hmm. And I am disconnected. Like just the other day, I was so disconnected when I was at the beauty salon that I didn't remember how many times I'd been to the shampoo bowl. Because I wasn't there. I don't know where I was, but I wasn't in the moment. And normally you would think that you'd remember having your hair shampooed and all of that. But I really am going, oh, where was I? But you actually have created this invigorate life cleanse where you literally can cleanse your cellular memory. I want to talk about that because I think that's really fascinating. So can you tell me more about that?
Absolutely. So just like every day it's important that we cleanse our physical body, it's also important that we cleanse our energetic body. And this is new to a lot of people because I really don't even know that any other process quite like this. But what's cool about the journey of personal development and awakening is that if you stay with something long enough and you keep asking questions, you're going to get answers. And that's, 20 years ago, I began healing work. I started as a hypnotherapist and I studied all different types of healing modalities. And I had a lot to clear. I mean, I used to carry so much anxiety and fear and doubt and worry that held me back. And that was a big pain in my life because I knew I could do more, but I was constantly holding myself back. It was like there's an energetic wall that wouldn't allow me to do those things, even things that I was saying yes to, even things that I knew I could do. There was something that was keeping me from that, and that was super painful, especially when I got to the place in my life where I started receiving these downloads of inspiration to share with the world, and to receive such a gift and not feel like that you can share it. That's quite painful. So I kept moving. I kept searching. I'm like, there's got to be something that works faster than the healing practices that I was learning. And so through my journey, I learned that what a lot of healing practices aren't teaching is this most important element of getting out of our head and coming into our body. So I combine my 20 years of healing work into 8.5 minutes in our program. We do 30-day transformations. You met with Carl, and because people are busy. So I said, let me condense this down into 8.5 minutes. So what the Invigorate does is it very quickly gets you out of your head. It brings you into your body. And you can feel this within a few minutes. You feel like all of a sudden you might go from feeling that disconnected feeling that we were talking about, maybe even feeling scattered, maybe feeling fear, doubt, whatever it is. Because that's the experience that we have when we're disconnected and when we're in our head. I say living in your head is a scary place to be. So in the Invigorate, I very quickly bring you down into your body. You bring all your awareness down into your body. That's the first thing, and that's connecting. And then we do some self-connected breathing. And our breath is so super powerful when we're connected and when we're in our body, because we can tune in and we can feel in those places that we're holding on to past emotions or trauma or whatever it is, or just any type of heaviness that doesn't feel good. And these are the types of things that we feel when we go out in the world, and maybe we start the day feeling good, and then something happens and we get triggered and our energy drops, right? Or all of a sudden it might bring up sadness or anger or whatever it is. we're clearing that cellular memory out so that no longer happens. All right. So with this breathing process, it clears that out layer by layer. But in just 8.5 minutes, you change your state, and you can literally go from a low frequency to a high frequency. And this is what we're talking about, living in, elevating our frequency, living in these higher places, because everything that we're asking for actually lives in a high vibration. But if we're carrying heaviness and density and living in those lower places, then not only does that not feel good, but it makes it very challenging to bring into our world those things that we're asking for.
So I have a question related to the divine, or the God of your understanding. Mm-hmm. And often I actually work with a lot of healers as my clients. And often many of them will talk about feeling disconnected from God or the divine, the God of their understanding. How much of that is related to living in your mind and as opposed to living in your body? And how does that relate to being connected to your higher power or the divine? I'd like your take on that.
Yeah, I love that question. Well, most of us, when we think of the divine or God or the God of our understanding, as you say, we're taught to look up, aren't we? We're taught to look up, like we put our energy up high in the sky, like God is way up there. And I hate to say it, but we've been taught wrong there, because that disconnects us from who we are. And it's like we're like a victim, and we're saying, oh, something out there help me. And we're disconnected from ourselves, so we have no idea of who we are. And when we have no idea of who we are, the only place we have to go to is the mind. And the only thing that the mind knows is programs, what it's experienced, what it's read, and what it knows, what it believes. So I'm saying that when we take our awareness, and I have a process that I'd love to give your listeners so they can experience this, because we can talk all day long on this, but it really requires you to experience to fully understand what I'm talking about. Because I remember the first time I learned this, I was brought up on stage, and the instructor guided me through a process that got me in my body. And before he did that, he had me stand up and kind of, I was in a lunge position, and he pushed on my shoulder, and I easily fell over because I didn't have balance. And then when he taught me how to connect, I did the same lunge, and he could push on me even harder, and I was super strong. So this is the difference when we bring our awareness, because remember, we're not our mind and we're not the body. We're our awareness. And it's where we place our awareness that makes a difference in how we experience our world. Because if my awareness is in my head and I'm disconnected from myself, I'm going to be seeing things through a lens that is fearful, But if I bring my awareness down into my body, all the way down, and just simply put my attention underneath my feet, and when we do that, our aura automatically opens. And this is a very simplistic part of it. I'm just giving you an idea. But we bring our awareness down into our feet. And you can even do that now. Put your attention underneath your feet and breathe. And just from doing that, you can get into a place, and you know that you're really there when you no longer are thinking any thoughts in your head, when you no longer hear that voice in your head anymore. So now you can go from a place of maybe doubt, worry, and fear, or just maybe it's not doubt, worry, and fear. Maybe it's just not feeling so good or not so comfortable. And you bring your awareness down into your body and breathe. Again, our breath is super powerful. And now all of a sudden you feel grounded, you feel safe, you feel secure. It's like, okay, I'm good. I feel really good in this moment. And who we are feels good. And now you can be more in touch with who you are, and you can hear that voice on the inside that is the voice that is best for us to listen to, not the voice in our head. And when we live from here, we always know what to do. We always know what to say. We feel this confidence of being. Now, if you're brand new to this, when you come down into this place, you may feel some things in your body that don't feel good. And that's the clearing process. So the invigorate begins to clear out those things that you've been holding into your body that has been weighing you down and not feeling good physically, emotionally, but also those things that have been feeling like maybe that wall that I was talking about earlier that used to hold me back, that energetic wall. And when we start clearing that stuff out, then you have more energy, you feel happier, you have more inspiration, and you can get to the place that the things that used to bother you just don't even bother you anymore because you've raised your energy frequency. So this is what we're talking about here when we're talking about elevating our consciousness.
So what you were talking about, and you had told me earlier that it's called LEAP. Can you
Yes.
go ahead and guide us through that and explain first what LEAP stands for?
Yeah, sure. So I have what I call a leap to happiness formula. So I just want to say I became the happiness generator because I have learned on my journey the most happy news that we all have the ability to feel good. We don't have to wait for anything. We can happen right now here in this moment, yet it is your choice. And again, my vision is happy people everywhere. So I've created some processes here so I could teach very simply to give you an idea of how you can begin living in these higher elevated states right now. So LEAP is an acronym, Leap to Happiness Formula, and the L stands for language. So I've come to understand that, our not only do our words have power, but the words that we choose have energy, frequency, and vibration. And I like to use the analogy that, let's say there's a buffet of food, from lower energy frequency foods to higher energy frequency foods. And today we're making better choices to choose fresh, live foods that are going to make us feel good. That makes sense. Well, I suggest that you also see the words the same way. So just imagine there's a buffet of all these words, and some of those words are a low frequency and some are high frequency. And we become conscious and aware of how we are speaking and what words we are choosing. It makes a difference in how we feel, how we communicate, and how others receive our communication.
Wow. So, for example, a high frequency word, of course, would be love.
Yes. Yeah.
So you have the buffet of words like that versus other ones. So what did LEAP stand for again?
Language, energy, attitude, and program.
And it's interesting that the happiness generator, it's so funny because I was looking at your bio earlier and that just jumped out at me about that. You also, with the energy, it's invigorate 8 minutes of literally, you basically are walking someone through the process of, like you said, getting out of their head, getting into their body so that they are in tune with who they are, the real.
Absolutely. Yes. And then we do the self-connected breathing and we breathe through the energy centers of the body. So we're clearing out whatever's on the surface, clearing that out, and it's permanent. So, and every time we release that resistance, we raise our energy frequency. And when we raise our energy frequency, this is the most simplest, powerful, and wonderful way to do it because there's nothing that we have to try to change or fix on the outside. We don't have to think or anything in a new way. We just go through this process, and it's like changing the channel on a radio station. When you're on a low channel or even on a different channel, you can't hear what's on another channel, right? So let's call it a low energy frequency. You're changing it to a higher energy frequency in this 8 minutes. But not only do you feel good, but you're actually in tune with information that you couldn't be in tune with before. And that's the exciting part, because then all of a sudden that answer to that question is right there for you, or that inspiration that you've been asking for your business or your work is right there to assist you in moving forward. And it's like literally like changing a reality state in just 8.5 minutes. And yes, you feel something powerful the first time doing it, but it's a cumulative effect too, using it over time that, we're quite complex human beings. We have layers. So layer by layer, you're going to be clearing that stuff out until you feel so light and free on the inside. And then you find yourself doing things that used to scare you and they just don't scare you anymore. You find your relationships are improving, and it's just a beautiful, wonderful way to live. And we call it living from the inside out.
I love that, living from the inside out. So if somebody wants to connect with you to find out more, what's the best way to do that?
Well, I would love to offer my free gift. It's the Happy Self Connection, and that's the domain name. If you go to happyselfconnection.com, you'll see a short video there, and I have a process for you so you can experience what I'm talking about. It's not the invigorate, but it's similar. So you can experience what it's like to get out of your head and come in your body and connect and do some breathing. And then I also take you into your imagination. Our imagination is so powerful. And when we use our imagination to see, feel, and experience things that we like to experience in the outer world, the mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So we get to know it. We get to believe it. It becomes familiar for us. And then it's easier to take those actions on the outside.
So there's the invigorate system. So you basically are upgrading your consciousness in 8 minutes. And then they can go where again for the free gift?
happyselfconnection.com.
happyselfconnection.com. I didn't know about that website, so I have to go there and get that, because I would love to be walked through the steps of moving from the mind to the self, and to learn more about the breathing techniques. And I think that's something some people, and I'm one of them, I would call myself a shallow breather.
Okay.
What does that say when you're someone who you're not taking these deep breaths, you're just, like very shallow breathing? What's that all about?
Yes, I'm happy to answer that. And as I do, I just want to say that in the Leap to Happiness formula, we're kind of moving into the E, which is energy. And this is the process that's going to assist you in elevating your energy frequency. So that's another thing. We're kind of programmed as a society to not breathe and hold our breath and be shallow breathers. And I can just say that I used to be like that too. And this process will teach you how to breathe deeper. And the more, in the beginning, it might feel a bit much because it's like a breathing workout. I have you do some deep breaths. I call them candle breaths. And that's where you breathe in a big breath in through your nose and then out through your mouth, and you make a wind sound. I call it candle breaths because just imagine you have your birthday cake in front of you with a bunch of candles, and the breath has to be so big that you have to blow out all those candles. Okay. So,
a lot right now.
What'd you say?
I said that would be a lot of candles for me right now. I'd have to really take a big breath and blow it out to get all the candles on a cake blown out.
Well, in the beginning, that's understandable. And it's certainly not something that is necessary in the beginning that you can kind of work up to. And you still can get effect from it, even if it's a gentle breath, as long as you're breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. So it's a connected breath. There's no holding. You're either breathing in or you're breathing out. And I would recommend, when you learn this in the Happy Self Connection, to begin taking that type of breath into your daily life and begin keeping your awareness underneath your feet as you're sitting at your chair and as you're walking down the street, and just notice the difference you feel. The next time you find yourself thinking in your head too much and that's not feeling good, maybe go out in nature. Nature connects us with our nature. And as you're taking a walk, put your attention underneath your feet. And it may sound counterintuitive or crazy to the mind right now because the mind won't understand it. But if you just do it and you feel the difference that it makes for you, that's a great start. And with the Happy Self Connection, when I'm guiding you to breathe those breaths, even though you'll hear me do a forceful breath along with you, you can just do it gentle in the beginning and just practice it every day, and it will get stronger and stronger. And you're going to feel a lot better. You're going to be more grounded. You're going to feel really good in your body. You're going to have more energy. So, I would say that it's okay where you are right now, and just be willing to be open and allow yourself to be guided, and know that it will get better over time with practice, quite quickly, actually.
It's like anything. Learn how to breathe. But most of us who, we weren't taught how to breathe.
Exactly.
We show up and we start breathing, and nobody ever said, oh, this is the way that you should be breathing. So What does the A stand for?
Attitude. Attitude. Okay, so just to kind of review so far, so the language is, how we're thinking. So the language is our self-talk, more than just the words we're using. It's how we talk to ourselves and how we talk to others, because what we think, we become. So make sure your thoughts are in alignment with what you would like to become and what you are asking for. The energy is because what we feel, we attract. So now moving into attitude. Attitude is the way we see things. And the way we see things kind of goes out into what we're imagining all the time. And most people are imagining things that they really don't like to have, maybe the worst case scenario. And I'm saying, let's elevate that by shifting this. How can you see things in a way that are really going to serve you? So let's say, because there's always something that's happening on the surface. That's usually the drama in the story. But this living from the inside out, we're more concerned about how that story, that drama is making us feel on the inside. Okay. And so we can tune into that and we can release that with the breath. And now we can see things in a new way. We can see the bigger picture.
So when we're looking at our world and what we're telling ourselves, again, that goes back to what we think is what we're creating for ourselves.
Right.
And we need to move out of our mind into our body. And then the attitude is all about how we're showing up and processing all of this.
Yeah. And yeah. So when we come, the more that we practice being connected and connected to ourselves and in our body and breathing, we get to know who we are more. And we're actually brilliant beings. And when we live from this place that we see that we're brilliant. And so we can have a brilliant attitude. That's what I'm talking about. It's like, let's make our attitude brilliant. How can we see things in a way that are going to make us feel good and be in alignment with those things that we're asking for?
So after attitude comes the P in leap. And what's that?
Yeah, and that's the program. And you just had a great conversation with my partner, Carl Hunter, on that. And this is the subconscious, okay? Because it's very important that we clear out the programs in the subconscious that no longer serve us so we can have programs that are in alignment with who we have become today.
So when you talk about program, you're talking about literally the program that we feed our subconscious mind.
Yeah, I'm talking about the programs that are in your subconscious mind, what is running the show. Yeah.
Okay. And just so everyone, make sure that you cross-reference that I have 2 interviews, one with Amy about the Invigorate program, and then with Carl, we talked about mind flavors, and they actually all go together as this one big phenomenal thing that you need to listen to both of these interviews. And I don't think it matters which one you listen to first, to tell you the truth, but it is interesting about how you're talking about going from your mind to your body and being connected. And then of course what Carl and I were talking about was our subconscious mind, which like what you just said is in charge of everything. So it's very interesting how all of this plays out. So again, you have a free gift for everyone. And what is the best way to connect with you?
I would say, go to Happy Self Connection. That's the best place to connect with me. And please, accept my free gift because it's really going to assist you in understanding what we're talking about here. And so you can see that you absolutely have the ability to feel good and be happy now. So isn't it amazing that we have this ability to feel good and be happy, but we've been programmed that we have to go out there for things and we got to wait for those things to happen. And I'm saying, let's reverse engineer that. We don't have to wait for anything to happen. We can feel good and be happy right now. And the most beautiful thing about this is that when we are in alignment with our true nature, which is feeling good and being happy, then all those other things that we would love to have just show up in our life anyway, because we're in the frequency of it.
Well, I think that we can leave it at that because I think you just said it. Definitely take Amy up on her offer. I'm going to, because I definitely want to upgrade my consciousness. And again, thank you so much. Before I let you go, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just would like to say once more that we all have this ability to feel good and be happy. But happiness has been very underrated. And most people don't, it's like a word that just kind of, I don't know if people really know how happy that they can be. And it's really important because this is what we're here for. We're here to be happy. We're here to be joyful beings. You are here to do what you came here to do in this lifetime. And when we are in these higher levels of happiness, it puts you in touch with your brilliance. It makes you highly attractive to success. And there's no more DWF, that doubt, worry, fear stuff. And you can just live your life. So I would just say, let yourself be happy and see what the Happy Self Connection can do for you.
Wow, that's so beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Amy. And everybody, make sure you go check out Amy's free gift. And until then, this is Tammy Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tammy Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.